Good morning, everyone. How are we doing today? So, I wanted to have a conversation about legacy wealth, generational wealth. There's a lot of talk in social media when you're in the real estate investing space about people saying, I want to create generational wealth. And, I thought we should have a conversation about probably the greatest tax loophole, if you want to call it such, that enables generational wealth. And that is what is called the stepped up basis at death. Right. So the story goes, and I'll try to do some of the math here on this little whiteboard, but let's do the story first. So let's say you are building a real estate portfolio. Let's say you're 20 or 30 years old, and over the course of your lifetime, and we're gonna remove all the complications of depreciation and transaction costs and all of that. We can actually just call it stocks, right? So we'll call it assets. How about that? Assets. Let's say that over the course of your lifetime, you buy $10 million dollars of assets, whether that's stocks, businesses, real estate, whatever it is. And because of whatever you want to call it, inflation, lack of supply, whatever, that $10 million dollars appreciates during your lifetime to 40 million. Let's have some fun, right? 40 million bucks. You're now, I don't know, 125 years old, right? Let's not be morbid. Let's say that you live to be 125. Who cares, right? But you unfortunately succumb to life events. We all do at some point, and you pass on. So this is where stepped up basis comes in, right? At when you die, right, your $40 million dollars in assets are transitioned to, let's say you had one kid for easy math. They are transitioned to that child at $40 million dollars, the current value. Let's say for whatever reason they have no interest, or heaven's sakes, they're probably 100 now or 95, right? So they're up there in age spectrum. They decide to sell that, and they sell it for 41 million for whatever reason. What do you think they pay in taxes? Remember, you paid 10, it was with 40 when you died, and now it's worth, and they sell for 41. Well, the answer, because of stepped up basis, the greatest tax loophole the rich leverage and really makes generational wealth possible, is they only pay taxes on 1 million. They only pay taxes on the difference between 40 and 41. They do not pay taxes on your cost basis, which was $10 million dollars. So there's $30 million dollars in capital gains that is not taxed because the owner, right, your child in this case, owned them at 40 million when you passed. They don't carry your purchase price forward, right? It is repriced, revalued at time of death. This is how generational wealth can be passed from parents to kids, parents to grandkids, because of stepped up basis. And, when your greatest accomplishment is your last name, is that right? I don't know. I try to be, I try to on this channel just talk about the facts. I'm not going to come out one side or the other. But that is a huge deal, right? And there is talk that the stepped up basis could be slashed. There's no tweak. It's talked about as the loophole being removed if there's a change in the executive branch next year. So if you are talking about generational wealth, you need to understand this. You need to understand what it is, because it will fundamentally change estate planning. It will fundamentally change when people sell. It'll fundamentally change future plans, right? If the stepped up basis is removed, it will raise a ton of taxes. Just talk about our example, right? There would be a whole new tax windfall if those assets were sold at 41. There's an additional, I don't know, what is capital gains? 20, there's an additional 6 million in taxes. But here's the fact. Maybe instead of selling at 41, which in our early example they did, they don't sell. Maybe, then you only get hit with estate taxes. So I don't know. But this again, right, when people in real estate talk about generational wealth and legacy wealth, I want you to realize that you are counting on the stepped up basis, right? You want to build a portfolio of assets, and then when you pass on and it goes to the next generation or the generation after that, it does so without implications of the tax code. So the stepped up basis greatly benefits the rich. I don't know what it is, but it's got to be over 95% of the people that take advantage of this are the rich. And if that goes away, we will certainly raise tax revenue. So, who knows? The environment we are going into, it really could happen. And again, what will happen is the rich will change the way they do estate planning and all of that. Maybe they will sell assets during life and all of those things. So yeah, it's one to watch. I know in my case, right, we are building a portfolio and have a portfolio that ultimately we saw potentially going to our daughter, hopefully in decades, right, 5, 6 decades. But I don't know, right? If that's removed, I can guarantee you we would probably sell stuff while we are living, right? So she doesn't have that headache, right? We would want to absorb that instead of passing it on to her. But again, we're decades away from that, knock on wood. But yeah, it will change behavior. So when you think legacy and generational wealth, realize that you are relying on the tax code. And the tax code that is most beneficial is called the stepped up basis. So I guess let me just do this example since I said I had the whiteboard out. 10 million, 40 million, 41 million. Right? So again, just because I said I would and I had this whole whiteboard, you buy assets worth 10, at your time of death it's worth 40, they sell for 41. Under the current tax code, they only pay taxes on $1 million. If you repeal it, you're going to pay taxes on all of this. That's going to hurt generational wealth, legacy wealth. So you got to understand it, look at this stuff, realize it's impactful. All right, everybody, have a wonderful day. Take care.